Early in my career, people would always ask, like, hey, what do you believe in? I was like, yeah, people can believe in a lot of stuff, but what do you trust in as a player? I trust in my preparation, physically and mentally. I trust in my tools. You gotta have the proper tools for the job. I don't care what job it is. You can be a plumber, you could be a hooper, you need the proper tools to handle the job, right? And then your attitude. All those things you can control. The more things you control, the more successful you're gonna be.
I'm Baron Davis, your host of Raiders Talk of the Nation. Today we're joined by one of the most respected defensive backs in the NFL. He was known for his leadership, his durability, his mentorship for younger players, and now he's known as an analyst, our Hall of Famer, my Hall of Famer, my cornerback, if I play safety, legendary Eric Allen, ladies and gentlemen.
All right.
Take me back to draft day. What were you thinking about yourself and then this journey into, the NFL?
Obviously, times have changed, a little bit different. I didn't really expect to be in that spot. That's not something I planned on doing. I think nowadays, guys who are drafted in the top 3, they expect to be there. I mean, their whole life has been planned to kind of, be at that spot. For me, it was really about having a great experience in college. My whole goal was to win the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
We were able to accomplish that. And after that, I really wanted to work for ESPN. I love football, but I didn't think, I was that kind of guy who was going to be able to, have a career or anything like that. So
wow.
I really wanted to just talk about the game that I love, But what happened was the year before, NFL had a strike. And a lot of those guys came back to campus. And so they were like, dude, man, here's how it is, We're like, oh, there's some guys up there that we're better than? Yeah. And so that next year, we were like, okay. And so, after having a great season in college, you're sitting there in April, you've done all the prep, the work, you went to the combine, you ran your times, you did all that. And so you just didn't have any idea where you were going to be drafted. But when I got that phone call, and it was the Eagles.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite teams growing up. We had a guy from my neighborhood who played for the Eagles. It was just so exciting, man. And then along with myself, there were 4 or 5 other guys on my team. We all got drafted. So it was just kind of a great year. It was that moment that wow, I'm going to be playing on TV on Sunday. So you're excited. The difference between a college player and a professional player at that time, it was a huge gap. Maturity-wise, speed of the game. So there was a huge learning curve.
Right.
So when I got drafted, I was a second round.
Yep.
And the guy who was drafted ahead of me, Keith Jackson out of Oklahoma, was a terrific player. But the draft process, I learned that I was supposed to be the first guy. And so when I got drafted, Buddy Ryan, who's a legendary, defensive coordinator, 85 Bears. So I'm in his office and he's like, hey, kid, here's what I'm going to do. You're going to start for me, game 1. But in order to do that, you have to come back here. After the draft process, you go to the city, you have an interview, you have a mini camp, but usually the rookies go back to school.
Yeah.
And then the veterans come in. He says, I want you to start, but you're going to have to come back here and stay back here for the rest of the, off season.
Yeah, the summer.
So, I talked to my agent. I was like, here's what, they're saying. If I could start, that is really getting my career started off on the right foot. So I withdrew from school, went back, and I'm in the locker room practicing every day with Reggie White.
Wow.
Jerome Brown.
Wow.
Clyde Simmons, Seth Joyner, Randall Cunningham, all those amazing players. And so my learning curve was like straight up out the roof, man.
Yeah.
And I learned so much in those couple months being back there. And I thought that was pivotal of me taking that big leap, in the middle of my first year opposed to year 2 or 3.
Yeah, I love that. And then speaking about defensive coordinators and, defensive players, Willie Brown.
Yeah.
Impact of having, this marriage and being coached up by Willie Brown. Tell me about him, what was that like being in that film room?
Yeah, because, I mean, we're talking about the history of the position. He's on the Mount Rushmore. That was iconic pictures of him playing bump and run. And, he's 6'2", 6'3", just a strong guy, kind of revolutionized the way we play cornerback.
Yeah. Runs to the left, throws on the move, batted up the air. Willie Brown still fighting for an interception. He's got it at the 30 and goes out of bounds on the 26-yard line.
I remember flying in 98 for my initial meeting to come to Oakland.
Yeah.
And I was doing it as a favor. Many people don't know because I was with the Saints the year before.
Yeah.
We were not very good. I wanted to end my career playing in meaningful games.
Yes.
We had beat the Raiders the year before. So I was like, what? I don't know. So, my agent, he, convinced me to take the trip out and talk to everybody because everybody was new. I fly in, get to the airport. Who picks me up? Willie Brown picks me up.
Wow.
And it's not like, hey, man, we're glad to have you. He's like, oh, you're playing here. Oh, you're playing here. I mean, I don't know.
They send
I
out
don't
a
know the
Willie
rest
Brown.
of the trips you got. You better cancel, So he knew my stats. He's like, okay, you got about 40 or so interceptions. I got 54. So I'm just letting you know, if you come here, maybe you get close to me, So it was just right away, it was a great bond with him. We had just great conversations about the position, about what it meant to be a Raider. He also kind of alluded to, you're not the first guy that has been a really good player that has come here and really blossom. Mike Haynes, who I love, came from New England and came to the Raiders and had just a really amazing career. And so sitting down with them, they spoke about, hey, man, this could be the icing on the cake. You come here, we're going to draft this kid out of Michigan.
Uh-huh.
At the time, I didn't know who Charles Woodson was. Drafted, why are you telling me that? I can't care less. This is about me. So they kind of laid the whole program down to me and went and talked to Gru and just had a really good relationship and talked with him because he was from Philadelphia. So it just all clicked, and as we were going through the day, we're just talking about, teammates who, I appreciated playing with. So I fly home and I still kind of it was a great trip, but, I want to be in the playoffs and stuff, So I'm talking to my wife. I get a phone call from a good friend of mine, Anthony Newman, and he played safety with New Orleans with me, but he had been released. He calls me up. He's like, what's up, E? I was like, what's going on, man? He's like, guess where I am? I was like, where you at? He's like, I'm in Oakland. I was like, I just left there. What are you doing there? He's like, they just signed me. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, after the conversation that you had with, Coach Gruden and Coach Willie Shaw, who was a defensive coordinator, who me and Willie are tight, they needed a safety and they signed me. That was it.
That was it.
No, that was it. That's my guy, that's my dude, man, So I just thought that was so classy for them to have a conversation with me and understand like the kind of teammates that I kind of vibe with, and they would go out and do that. So, I'm not sure if it was the next day or not, but I called and said, hey, man.
It's time to go.
Yeah, set it up.
It's telling you the truth.
Yeah.
Which you rarely get,
right.
A lot of times in our sport because everybody is in a selling position, but to be there to sit there to listen to you and to say, okay, we have a great player that we want. Who are some of the great players because it's the team, right?
Yeah, it really is.
And speak to that. Like now you got Woodson, just that Oakland energy and how that magic just started happening. Like day one.
Yeah, and it really is about relationships. And of course, you got to have the players and the competitiveness of all of us. We had a really good secondary room. Of course, Charles came in with this different type of. The first Heisman Trophy winner on defense is on our squad, right? And so he's doing his thing. Practices, a lot of energy in practice, a lot of competitiveness in practice. But we all wanted to kind of establish this new kind of Oakland, because they had gone through some ups and downs. And we thought defensively, we could really kind of put a stamp on what it is to be a Raider in, 1998.
Yeah.
And that kind of trickled over to everything else. Of course, Tim Brown being, all pro, all Madden type of player, was kind of that guy on offense. The attitude that we had on defense kind of carried over. So the practices was just great tempo.
Yeah.
And if we knew we could battle against these guys on offense and the offense could kind of have their day against defense, we knew that we're going to be very competitive when we start the regular season.
Yeah. Give me a good Charles Woodson rookie story. I mean, he come in with this energy.
Oh,
right,
man.
You're a vet. They just recruited you.
Yes.
You got a vet film room.
Right.
What is this Heisman Trophy?
Cool is
all I do.
Oh, man. I mean, just so smooth with his. But the meeting times and stuff, he wasn't really up on the meeting times after. So we'd meet, and then on Fridays, I was like, hey, guys, let's do some extra stuff. So we'd be prepared. We'd be nailed down, And so we'd have a little break. And Charles lived close to the facility. And I would say, hey, after practice, everybody get a bite to eat. We'll have like a rookie, pay for pizzas or whatever. We'll come back, and we just have a players-only meeting. The first couple, Charles is nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. Just Wood is just gone, right? So we get word that he's at the crib. So I take all of the players, we go to his house.
Oh, wow.
Knock on the front door. He opens in a smoking jacket. What are we doing here? Bro, it's like, he is so cool. He's like, what's going on? I'm like, Wood, man, we're having a meeting, man. Let's do it. So we start having the meetings at other places. We would go to his house. We would, rent out like a small place in a restaurant to go and just kind of chill. And it became like more of a meeting. It became like a just kind of kick back. It initially started with Wood not coming to the meeting, so we had to go and get that. Yeah, just smoke silk, little brandy and stuff. Have some brandy and stuff, and that's why his products are so good now. Whiskey and Woodsy and all that stuff. But yeah, just a great dude, man. I remember early in the season, we were playing some coverage or something where we were trying to bait the quarterbacks into throwing like the corner route, right? So we wanted to kind of give them the short route. We were playing like cover 2 or something like that. And a corner's never supposed to really pick off that flat route by the running back, right?
Yep.
So we're playing Arizona. Wood picks it off, takes it to the house. Everyone's celebrating. I'm like, okay, that's that. Hey, man, that's what's up. The next 2 weeks, the quarterbacks are pumping that. Wood's jumping it, and they're throwing the 7 behind him. The safeties are screaming. They're like, Wood, you can't jump that. Like, so it's a learning lesson.
Yeah.
Not all interceptions are good interceptions.
No, for sure.
You got to learn
They
from
can
that.
be misleading.
Oh, my God. The next couple of weeks, every quarterback was throwing pumps at him, and he was jumping it and leaving the safety back there. But, just a tremendous, tremendous athlete.
Yeah.
And was able later on, he had been traded to Green Bay. And we had, the NFL was doing some kind of NFL alumni deal. So I go out to Green Bay, and I'm in the tunnel, and he comes up behind me with a big hug, right? I was like, what's up, what's up? He's like, man, I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry, OG, man. Because these dudes, they're doing the same thing. They don't want to study. They don't want to get in the film room. And I was like, see, I told you it's going to be your day. So it was great to pass the torch, so to speak.
Yeah.
And to see how he, became this phenomenal, all-around player and just one of the greats that we've seen. And if I had a little bit to do with that, I'm really fortunate.
Yeah, I say you definitely had a big influence. I mean, if you look at the work, the work that you put in, and being a Oakland Raider legend, the interceptions, and more impressive, the 8 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Like, you were taking them things.
Yeah, you gotta take it to the crib. Take it to the crib,
How does that feel as a DB
man.
be able to?
Yeah, that's the best feeling, man.
Tell me one of those moments where you like,
Right.
oh yeah, I got him.
So my whole thing, I think all great players have a superpower. I mean, you could be unbelievably, big, fat. Prime is so fast. Him and Darryl Green, 4'2" guys. I thought my superpower was really, I processed information and memorized plays and formations. I could watch a game and come back and okay, I know what they're trying to do here. So we get into that situation and everything would slow down.
Right.
And oh, okay, you guys are motioning here so you guys can throw the ball over here. All right, why am I going to go over there? I just wanted to be at the end of the play where the ball was. That was my whole thing. I can care what you're doing at the line of scrimmage, and I just want to be where the ball is. Of course, in high school, I was a receiver too, and always prided myself to have great ball skills, I was I wasn't one of those guys who were just playing corner because I couldn't catch, right? I would process really fast. And when the play is going, when it started to slow down, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to get a pick here. And so the first thing was securing the ball. But after that, all you have to do is beat linemen, because this is the lineman back there, right? Or the quarterback, So I was thinking, hey, man, if I catch it, and I'm on the outside, I'm going to the crib. And that was the whole thing.
What quarterback would you look at and be like, or team and be like, oh man, I'm about to have a day. You know what? It's always those teams for
there
a
was a
player.
couple. Troy in Dallas.
Oh yeah.
Because Troy was a timing quarterback. So he would put the ball, especially in the red zone, he would put the ball in the places where he wants the receiver to be. So if I'm reading, I'm going to be a step ahead. So if I'm in the slot and I know he wants to run a 7 route, a corner, and the receiver's up doing all this stuff, bro,
I know where you're going.
I know where you're going, dude. What are you doing?
That way.
Yeah. Why are you doing all this stuff, bro? And so, guys who were, finesse or those kind of quarterbacks were guys I enjoyed playing against, system quarterbacks. Of course, the West Coast system was one of the best systems, but it's all based off of timing. We play Steve Young, and I know the first 15 plays are all scripted.
Yeah.
All those first 15, there's going to be about 7 of them to Jerry Rice.
Yeah.
Out of those 7, Jerry loves slant routes early on. That's kind of gets him going. He gets the slant. I don't care if you attack him or not. That kind of gets him going. So knowing that, I'm going to find out what formations he likes to run the slant out of, and we line up. And if it's early in the game, okay.
You know what it is.
Yeah, I know what it is. If you're a left-handed quarterback and Jerry's on the right, you can't have the running back on the right side because you'll hit him in the helmet.
Right.
So they swap the running back so Steve Young can throw the slant. So I'm going to sit right there. So that's kind of how I played the game. And that was my superpower, being able to kind of study film and be prepared for all those formations that affected me.
And have this photographic memory.
Yeah.
When I played, I hate to talk about myself. When I played basketball, I was always would try to visualize the entire game, because I kind of, what the team is going to do. What these players, what their tendencies are. And so by having that photographic memory, it's you can pull from that.
Yes, that is interesting how that, because I usually related it to baseball, like a pitcher. You have fastball, curveball, off speed, and when you're playing corner, yes, football's a team sport, right? Just like baseball, but when you're at bat, it's you and the pitcher. Right? So you have to remember, okay, I faced this guy a year ago, and I know he loves off speed on full count. Yeah. So that's kind of how I always looked at playing cornerback, as a more of a baseball aspect to it.
I love that. And I mean, workhorse.
Yeah.
Workhorse. If I were to describe you, workhorse.
Yeah.
The best ability is availability.
Yes. Yeah.
214
Yeah.
plus consecutive starts.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, man. Hey,
you talking about day one?
right?
till
Yeah,
day zero.
Yeah. I tell you, I took a lot of pride in that, and early in my career, it's like, people would always ask, was like, "Hey, what do you believe in?" I was like, "Yeah, people can believe in a lot of stuff, but what do you trust in as a player?" I trust in my preparation, physically and mentally. Right? You got to trust it. I trust in my tools. You got to have the proper tools for the job. I don't care what job it is. You can be a plumber. You could be a hooper. You need the proper tools to handle the job, right? And then your attitude. All those things you can control. The more things you control, the more successful you're going to be. And so that's kind of how I always plotted. After you get through those years where you're just out there running and jumping, you got to be able to have like an even where you're still athletically able to do some crazy stuff, but you're not basing your whole game on that. You're basing your game on
the balance,
on the other stuff that you can control. And so that's really, really pivotal and really important that these young players today understand that, yes, you could run and jump and all that stuff, but everybody else can too. So it's going to come down to, what do you really trust in that you can go into every game and know that these things that I can control, I'm going to control them. And if you are not on the top of your job, I'm going to have a day.
Hall of Famer, congratulations.
Thank you, my man.
It's truly an honor here to be present among so many amazing football players, guys who had impact in my life. These men have helped me understand that you have to have passion, devotion, abundance of patience.
How special is that for you to be recognized, in this elite group of people?
I've always been at peace with my numbers and impact. And going back to the conversations I had with Willie, right? He would always mention like, hey, if you get 50, you're probably going to be in if you play corner. He brought that up a lot, right? And like I said, he had 54 and that was kind of my goal. I was like, I'm going to either get you or beat you or pass you,
Totally.
So I was always like at peace with that. It's like, I didn't know when it would happen, but towards the end, it's like, hey, I have to get to this number in the course of helping my team win, being in playoff games, being a good leader in the locker room, those kind of things. All those things you think about when you think about Darryl Green, Dion, being a good leader, being a baller, having the ability to affect games from game 1 to game 200 and whatever, how many I played. All those things are critically important as you're going through your career. Even the last game that I played, which is the tuck rule, sitting in the locker, I thought about everything else other than the Hall of Fame. I thought about, is this it for me? And if it's not, why do I want to come back? All those things.
Right.
I never once thought about, I need to play another year for the Hall of Fame or I'm good. Never thought about that. I was always given a piece that, hey man, you had a great impact. You were always one of the best guys. You had a great run where you were the guy.
What's up, my boy? How you doing, man?
Great, man.
Oh, this is awesome, man.
Let me be the first to welcome you to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, class of 2025.
Oh, man.
After that knock, it's just so emotional, because you think about all the people who had supported you, and it validated, not me, because I played.
Yeah.
And you get the respect after the games, pre-game, post-game, coaches, players.
Yeah,
oh, man.
for sure.
You get all that. But it validated all those people who were riding with me from day one.
Yes.
Going back to
The journey.
Yes. Like the high school coaches who, when they come to the games, they're in talking to Al Davis about, I knew Eric Allen was going to be, from then all the way to the end guys, all those people who validated me are now able to go back and say, I told you so, So that was probably maybe the thing that stuck out more after the knock, that all those people now would be validated, and we'd have a great opportunity to, hopefully I had a great opportunity to share and those guys being a part of the journey.
Presenting Eric Allen for enshrinement in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
The Hall of Fame, I mean, talk about family and friends support. It was over 200 people, son.
All the people from every aspect of my life was able to kind of be together.
Yeah.
Right. Every day from like Wednesday until Sunday, there was some kind of event you were doing, a dinner, a luncheon, meeting with kids, coaching, every day there was something, which was cool. And the committee was awesome. But to be able to be at the after party and stand up and have like old coaches there, to my nieces and nephews who were 2 or 3 running around together, and some of them rocking the Raider stuff, some of them rocking Eagle stuff. Man, I would do that every week if I could get that group of people together again. Older teammates, guys who, weren't a big part of like the Raider team, but for me, so I got injured in '98, tore my ACL, right? For a cornerback, year 10.
Yeah, that's tough.
Like, hey man, not many people are able to come back and perform. I say that because there was a receiver who was in a practice squad. His name was Rodney Williams. And he worked me that whole like off season and summer. And he wasn't Tim Brown. He wasn't a guy who was going to play and score touchdowns. But man, he helped me so much get over the hump, being able to break on balls, be physical. Like, he did it all, man. He worked with me hand and foot, and he showed up. And so that's what I'm talking about. All kind of guys from every area of my life showed up, and that's why that weekend was so special.
I love that, man. I love it. The fact that, your journey, San Diego, Arizona State, to Philly, to New Orleans, to Oakland, the destination, right? And to be able, to finish such a storied career and to finish that journey, right?
Right.
To complete that story. I know for me, I was raised by my grandma, and, a lot of the lessons and the things that she taught me, I still carry on to today. I know you had a great relationship with your grandma and mom raising you, and like to see you, right, as this Raider at your last game, and to be able to reflect back.
Yeah.
When you first started playing football. Right. Speak a little bit to like the cycle of the journey, and like it's your story, but it, like you said, everybody has.
Oh man,
there's more than 200 stories that make up your book of life.
Right. So there's 370 or 382, I think, Hall of Famers. I think maybe 190 still alive, right? So I'm 379, right? And I was talking to people about, out of the millions of people who played football, right? Those millions of players have a similar story about football and their passion. And it all started somewhere, right, with someone encouraging them.
Mm-hmm.
Not about football specifically, about whatever that young person really was passionate about. It just so happened that mine was football. And my grandmother was just an incredible person as far as being able to always have something positive to say in difficult situations. So I think that football part of it was always something that I can go out and try different things. And even if I wasn't successful, it was always, you know what? Yeah, you didn't do this or that, or you guys lost, but that's just one aspect of your life. And there's other things that you need to always be excited and happy about, particularly when you come home. This is a place where you can try different things, and we're always going to support you. She was just a, great positive person, was always positive. And so she was, she passed way too soon. I was going to the ninth grade, and then my mom stepped up, and so always carrying that positive vibe, about whatever I was doing, and ultimately supporting, those things, always having a ride to wherever I needed to go. Those things were instrumental in me becoming successful, not just in football, but understanding there were other things that I really enjoyed doing. And I always go back to the ESPN thing. No one that I could kind of touch was in that field, talking about, sports being on. I mean, nobody was, but, my mom knew I enjoyed that aspect of it. So, in plays and stuff in elementary school, she would encourage me to, get your lines right, practice your stuff, you want to make sure that things that you can control, that you take care of those things. So the things that you can't control, you'll be able to kind of wing it or, be prepared for it. So I really appreciate her and that ability to look at me as a whole person, not just, hey, he's going to be the ticket.
Yeah.
It's not about that. Even if you don't make it, you're still going to be successful,
right? Because
you're versatile.
Yes.
And you have passions about many things, just not football. Yeah. So
you're driven.
That was the foundation and the building blocks of the person that I am. And my older brother, who's 8 years older than me, was the foundation for the sport element and the things you have to do to be great, whether it's high school, Pop Warner, it doesn't matter. The same type of things are important, like the preparation, the workout, the stuff you do when the lights are off, running in the sand, running hills. That's all my brother. And he was 8 years older than me. And dude, I mean, I can't thank him enough for spending that time. And you're from California, right? So those times in the 70s, the culture was a little different. Yeah, my brother was in a lowrider club. He had a 6'3", had a 6'8", front and back side, side to side, Yeah, and it was incredible, like they would come by on Sundays, and I remember I would have my Windex, my Armor All, and I would buff out the Kragers.
Oh yeah, they
and
do the money.
Wheels. Yeah, and they break me off with a couple bucks. I was so excited. Sometimes I get to ride in the car. And just be, I was in heaven. In that process. But he told me, "Hey, man, this is not you. This is for me. This is not you. You have a different path." So just kind of want to appreciate him and I hope I gave him his flowers during the speech. So
yeah, I mean, and I mean, I would say it's part of your DNA when you see it when you play.
Yeah,
you are a low rider.
You got a little swag.
With the hot, we know what that means,
right?
On that football field, and so. Just to thank you, for me, as a fan, as a part of, Raider Nation and Raider Talk of the Nation, I think we're just happy to get more insight, get to know that journey, because, I'm watching and I'm like, man, he's so smart. He's so fundamentally sound.
Yeah.
He locks up and then he's mean.
Yeah.
And you're like the nicest dude.
Yeah, you got to turn it on and off, you got to turn it on, and that's what's great about it. I just hope that the thing that I wanted to do also is always kind of represent, my city and the state, obviously. And, I would always have hats on the sideline.
Yep.
Usually backup quarterbacks used to wear hats. I started early. I always have a hat. People would send me hats from home, as long as they were green or, later on with the Raiders, I always sported a hat, had long sleeves, kind of representing my city, my state, you know. So hopefully,
Yeah, you got
Raider Nation
you had
was-
the swag,
Yeah,
man.
I
Raider
tried. I
Nation,
tried.
We rock with the Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Hall of Fame inductee, Eric Allen.
Raider Nation, we love you. We really appreciate everything you've done for myself and my family.
We're just so happy, man, and honored to have you on this show. And I would say, lastly, how, tell us something that we can support as the nation that you got going on. I know you're a pathfinder in media. You're a Hall of Famer now. Now you're about to be a Hall of Famer in media because, you're one of the first to do it and you do it so well. So thank you for that.
Yeah,
too.
I think, the last couple of years, football has been kind of under the microscope, especially with young football players, and you get to college, NIL. I just want to make sure that we all kind of, the community supports like youth football. It's still an amazing place for young boys to get leadership potential, leadership opportunities. All those years of playing, you're leading your teammates.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure that they understand and know like that stuff is going to help them in the business world, right? And it's not everyone gets to be on a football team and is in that really unique setting over and over. In the summers, you're working and you're going through difficult times, and we always seem to come out on the other end a lot better after those summer workouts. So just if you have a young guy out there playing or wants to play, just really support it. It's a great sport, and we need to continue to support it.
If I were to describe you, it's like a maestro over there at cornerback.
All
a
right.
maestro, a mechanic,
Yeah.
an engineer,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah.
Because you're a tough guy.
Yeah.
You got to be a tough guy. And we just appreciate, the style, the grace, the education, and the ability to, watch you and lead us, to great times and sharing those memories and having you on Raider Talk of the Nation.
I appreciate
To
you
do
guys
that,
having
man.
me.
This is great.
Yeah.
Thank you,
For
sir.
sure. Yep. Anytime, man. Anytime. You know that. Walking through the shot and stuff. Right.
Oh, man, you good?